Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Everybody done
morning.
ate their little lunch and breakfast. Y'all, we done
Mhm.
had lunch and breakfast together. How y'all
Mhm.
doing? Before we got on here, we was eating and talking, y'all.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
It is a new day yesterday. Well, Monday it was raining, monsoon. Tuesday it was 65. And then today, yeah, it's 40. Looking at the cold weather.
But I done missed Torvis and John up because it only took me 25 seconds to put my lipstick on.
Come on.
I didn't have on none. Come on in here. Hey, Joyce. Like, share. We got to get everybody on in here.
Mhm.
Wake them up.
Yep, come on in. Let's see who else we got in here. We got Miss Dow. How you doing, Regina? How's the week started out for you guys? We'll go first with you.
Like you said, it's the week started out. Been busy. Been
Mm.
busy with something going on. And then you get confused because you're confused by what's going on with education. And then you look outside. One day it's raining. One day it's um,
Mhm.
sunny. And then today they talking about snow. So you just don't know what to do.
Yep. Got the raincoats, shorts, and a sweater.
Did he say snow? Did I miss something?
Nah, we heard snow may be coming.
I would be so happy if it
Mhm.
snowed, y'all. Y'all just don't know. I would be so happy. How was your week, John?
It was good, like you said. Monday I had my raincoat on. Tuesday I had my shorts and gym clothes on, and then today I got my coat ready to go for later on today. But it's been good. It's been real good. What about you?
Well, you know, um, I can't complain. It has been rough. I think that this work is rough, and so I just have one of those things where I just take on other people's pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I got to deal with that. We all got to deal with stuff, um, deal with that better. But, this work is just hard.
Yeah.
And it's rough when you watch people suffer. So the last few days have been emotionally like hard for me. Then last night, I don't know what happened to me, but I ended up, my stomach did something terrible, y'all. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what happened, but I don't know if it was just all of that energy, right, of being upset about children not being able to read and being in the eighth grade and being in high school and folk just being comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the important part that is so easy to ignore, and then it comes back to bite us in the long run.
And folk just being sorry, y'all. I was trying to share.
Nope, all good, all good. And while we're doing that, one thing that I definitely want to do is look at an article that where we were talking about actually about relationships. We were talking about reading as we talk about the National Geographic. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Sonya?
Um, yeah, I will. So I did an interview with the National Geographic about parent, student, and teacher relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about how it needs to be a partnership, and it needs to be a collaborative partnership, and it needs to be where parents are equally empowered as teachers are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true. That we need great educators, and educators need parents in
Mm-hmm.
order for our children to read on grade level, in order for um, our children to be successful. We talk about literacy. We talk about how um, teachers are not even taught to teach children how to read, and
Mm-hmm.
so that should ignite a movement of parents and teachers. Like, parents are igniting a movement. We're effectively advocating, demanding equitable education policies and practices for our students, but that also should have teachers to sound the alarm and stand up for what is right
Yeah.
and join in the fight, as the song says. And so, I think that those relationships are very important. Someone tweeted today that they feel like teachers are attacked I had posted a question on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
I said that it was what did I say? Wisdom Wednesday. Oh, Wake Up Wednesday. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked if it is a system failure or management failure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this teacher was talking about how she feels attacked. And sometimes she feels like, somebody said it was a management failure, but we have to ask ourselves, could it be a system and a management failure? There could be multiple root causes, and I think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be partnership. When someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do in whatever capacity they work in, whether it's a teacher, it's a support staff, it's whomever it is, they need to be held accountable for that. But I just don't think that people wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm gonna get up today, it's 8 a.m. and I'm gonna fail children.
Right.
No, but I do believe that systems fail children.
Yep. And let me read just a part of the article because I think it was really important. And this is just your quote. It says the same studies show. Let me do this. It says the same studies show the effects of student-teacher relationships, positive and negative, are amplified amongst at-risk students. For a lot of students who are in poverty and struggling communities, the relationship between the student, the teacher, and the parent is key to getting them out of this situation. And then it just quoted you, and it talks about the organization. It says when kids, teachers, and parents have positive relationships, opportunities for higher education and future career success can open up. And I think that was an important part as we go back to looking at how do we continue to cultivate, like how do we generate and bridge those relationships that make it best for all kids.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to go off camera. I'm the lunch lady too. We had
Yeah,
home with
hey,
the kids.
all day.
I had to go turn the stove off because school pizza is in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
We need great educators now more than ever in our most struggling communities. This is life and death.
Yeah.
For our children. And everything that happens to us, everything, and because it's rooted in racism, it's rooted in bias. Everything that happens systematically, no matter what that system is, whether it's school systems, criminal justice systems, medical systems, affect us because they're deeply embedded racism and supremacy and privilege rooted in there. And those systems are not created to combat those, nor were they intended to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I get really passionate about that because the fight is not over anywhere for us. And so people got to stand up for right. When George Floyd had that knee put in his neck, millions of white Americans woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And we need people to wake up and educate. Why are they not storming the streets for children who can't read?
Yeah.
And I ask that because it is it's a question that needs to be answered. And it's because people get in their feelings and feel attacked. And you know what? You damn should feel attacked. Let me go back.
Mm-hmm.
Folks should feel attacked. We all should feel like that we have a responsibility in changing this, just like a George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel attacked as a teacher and your toes are stepped on, mission accomplished.
Mm-hmm. The simplest way I try to put it in Corpus, I definitely want to hear from you. This is not personal. Like, we ain't gotta deal with the personal if you feel like your toes are stepped on. This is about outcomes. And at the end of the day, we judge ourselves on what are the outcomes that are coming out for our students. And so as you look in our communities and only 16% of the kids are reading on grade level by the third grade, like that becomes a problem. And so it's not personal to say we need to have a real conversation around how do we grow that number from 16 to over 50. And Torvis, I know you got a lot of experience, but want to hear from you just with your perspective.
like we've talked about before, 16% of kids can't read on regular by the third grade. And I think waiting to the third grade is a problem because you know a child can't read before the third grade. So why we got to wait to third grade to measure if they can't read or not? Also, what Sonia was saying, it's time to be truthful. It's time to tell the truth, be accountable, and show transparency about what's going on with education. And it's okay for parents to say now, okay, my child is having problems or my child can't read, because you have to be honest with yourself. It's like tell the truth. You got to be honest with yourself in order to get the kids some help. As far as the partnerships, all the richest people in the world didn't do anything by themselves. They have workers, they have other people that do stuff. So you got to create the partnerships between the students, the parents, the teachers, the system.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have partnerships. You can't do nothing by yourself. Even when you get married, you come together as a partnership. Everything's on partnership. Even if you're playing sports, it's a partnership. If I'm running the ball, you're gonna be responsible for blocking. So you got to really be truthful with yourself about what's going on and bring everybody together as a whole.
Yep. Can I tell you about a quick clap back that probably a lot of people didn't read because it came from Core Civic, and Core Civic is a private prison headquartered in Nashville. 37208 has the highest. It's the highest incarcerated zip code in the country, if not the world. But what they said, President Biden said, he's shutting down their relationship, and I was like, whoop whoop, like that's what I'm talking about, Joe. And then I read the article, and their clapback was to say, well, President Biden, we only house 9% of the federal population. And so what about the rest of that huge percentage? And it was like, and the clapback from Core Civic was to say most of them are arrested for low-level drug offenses. And so it's like, you should do something about that. And I thought it was a great clapback, and I thought it was worth a discussion. But I just keep going back to education. Like when you have an education, when you can read, you know things. If you can't read, it's hard to even understand the laws and the policy without somebody telling you. If somebody got to tell you something, it's likely you done the wrong thing already. And so those are the things you got to think about.
That was powerful, John.
Mm.
If somebody got to tell you, because we often, when we relate this to literacy, a lot of people who can read depend on auditory communication because they can't read the words, so they learn from people talking to them. And you just said it, like if it takes me a long time to get to you to even talk to you, then you done already done something. And right now, there's a child who's missing, and I'm gonna say because his mom is publicly gone on Facebook looking for him. His name is Wilson Alexander, and so I'm gonna get his flyer and post it up on our Facebook page. He is a Maplewood student. He's 16 years old, and he is missing. He has run away from home, and he has dropped out of school. He comes from a good family. His mom is a good mom, a mama of 9, and a foster parent. And I know this mama. But let me tell you something. This child, if you look at his education background, has struggled. So why the F am I going to go to school, in his words? See, I don't even blame him. I don't blame his mama. I don't blame him. The system that we are set up in has failed him. And so somebody said, well, that's about home. Yeah, it's about home. It's about all of us. I take responsibility for him running home, away from home. I take responsibility for that too. Because we gotta be a village. The school system should take responsibility. Friends should take responsibility. Organizations and churches and pastors and cousins and brothers and sisters. When something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. And so I wanted to call his name out, because if you are a parent and you've seen this child in South Nashville, North Nashville, call me 615-509-1916. So I can let his mom know. But we will post his poster. And our prayers is that God would cover him and protect him. And I have to say that out loud. I believe in putting stuff in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put it out in the air publicly. And you agree with me, everybody, every mama and every daddy that's on here that's listening, because if this is your baby, you don't need nobody to be you need people to find your child.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. So I'm sorry, I had to interject it because it goes to what we're talking about, the school to prison pipeline. At any moment, he's away from being introduced into the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And I know I look a little tearful because it's real in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what can happen. I've worked at CCA. I've worked at the intake down at Metro County Jail. As a matter of fact, it's so nasty that I was working for a nursing agency and I wouldn't even eat my lunch or lay my purse down in there and threaten them to walk off the job. So why? So I don't want nobody's child to be introduced to that.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at Tennessee Prison for Women. I've worked at River Bend maximum security on death row with some of the most heinous killers that will snap your throat if you look at them wrong, or if they don't just like you that day. And so I don't want nobody's baby to go in there. Every day that I walked in those prison systems, you know what happened? I kind of had post-traumatic stress syndrome because in the Tennessee prison for women, when you go in there in the back, the gates close like this. Every time you go in, every time you go out. The men's prison is nice. The women's prison, no woman needs to live like that. So, John, thank you for bringing that up. That takes responsibility on the local level, state level, federal level. They're criminalizing our children in school. We looked at the school board meeting last night, and I saw some of those schools with those high suspension rates. Republic. Who else? Somebody else. Get your shit together. Our kids ain't criminals.
Yeah. And that's what we want to discuss today. It's MNPS and Mayhem. It's been a lot that's been going on over the past 7 days since we last did the broadcast. You know, the state and the local MNPS are feuding. They're asking where the millions at. You know, you have school board members debating with teachers, and it's causing mayhem. And then we also, as we talked about on Monday on the speaker series, we got the MAP test coming up. And just want to hear Torvis kind of, what are some of your thoughts on things that are happening in MNPS as you look at when we talk about the money, as you look at when we talk about the MAP, and then some of the mayhem that's been happening? And you on mute.
Okay. From the speaker series with Jordan Sprayberry, as far as the MAP test, he really broke down the information that you need to know. It's not a bunch of talking over your head or anything like that. He just broke it down to you. And what we're finding out is, you know, they have systems in place, they have things in place, but they have to be done. They have to be documented in order for you, and collect the data in order for you to use it to make a difference. He said so many things on there, and there's so many things that he wanted to say that he didn't say about the MAP test, the MAP scores, and the assessments. And it's kind of funny that when you go through things, even when I was dealing with my child in Roberts County school system, sometimes you ask God for different things and then it ends up happening. So this same information that we're dealing with now is information that's happening to my child. So it's not like I'm on the back seat of it. I'm on the front row of what's going on. And by you being on the front row of what's going on, you'll be able to see what's going on and help others. It's going through the same thing. So I'm not vulnerable to say that everything is perfect in my world. It's not. So while we fight for your kids' education, we fight for our own kids' education. That's why we say for our kids. Now, as far as we always hear the excuses, don't have the budget, don't have the money, don't have the budget, have the money. And then you look on and see money's missing. You have plenty of money. You've had plenty of money. Now, the question is, what have you done with that money? Where's the accountability and the transparency about this money? So those two things right there together is really, you know, it weighs you down. and just so many different parts is pulling in different directions to try to figure out what's going on. But we don't get to bother what's going on. It's got to be told. The truth has got to be told. Point blank, the truth's got to be told.
Yeah. And I'm going to go into a conversation I had with Jordan Majors. Shout out to Jordan Majors, cohort 4. We were able to catch up a little bit yesterday. And I hope you don't mind me sharing, Jordan, but we just talked about like her working in education for the past 9 years, right next to a metro school, and watching these kids grow up and just talking about the struggle. So on one point, on a low level, right, you always care about how you living. Do you even live anywhere? Are you homeless? Are you sleeping on couches? Are your kids sleeping on couches? How are your kids eating? And then when you get all that together, then you want to care about, school and education. And for so many times I hear people say, that's why I love the National Geographic article, because it's a real relationship. And the first time people usually say, man, the parents got to do a better job. And they never acknowledge like what we're dealing with right now. They never acknowledge that if the kids are reading, on only 16% are reading on a 3rd grade level, what grade level do you think the parents are reading on? And when did it start? Like, why is that happening? And then you just take it all the way back and you realize even in some of the laws, not to be prehistoric, but it was a law that it was illegal to teach Black people how to read. Like, and so we got to think about why are we in this situation? And then like, how do we come together for all kids? Like, forget everything else. How do we make sure these kids, let's not forget about them. Let's not have a conversation over the top of them. At the end of the day, how do we make sure kids can read?
And I think you have to go back, John, to what you just said. The law of this land prohibited, forbidden Blacks from reading. Then they allowed us to go, did you hear what I said? Us to go to school. And then they said, well, because they use the ammunition of not teaching us how to read, and we started fighting to vote, then they got strategic and said, well, okay, well, if you want to vote, then you got to take a literacy test. Because they already knew that they didn't let us read. And so those systems are not gone. They are not gone. You have previous presidents who made it their agenda to assure that incarceration rates went up. So you had racist, and Candace Brewer said it earlier, elitist presidents, our own presidents of the United States. Okay? And if you don't believe me, go and watch the documentary on Netflix called 13th. It'll tell you, question everything and everybody, you'll find the truth. And thank you, Jackie Larson. I saw your comment that you love children and you're praying for them, and we thank you for saying that. That's very important. Candace says, kids with special needs get killed and arrested on a high level due to cops not understanding special needs. Kids being undereducated, not getting mental health help. I could go on. I'm trying to keep my son safe. Young people with special needs are not working due to ignorance, not enough one-to-one work helpers from the state. And you are so right. How many kids who have special needs, who just react to things differently, have been shot down? No weapons, unarmed. You're on mute, Torbis.
And I'll go back. I think and again, like one, just to quickly highlight just some of our people on there. I see Joyce Gardner, cohort 4, Jordan Majors, cohort 3, Jacqueline Larson, cohort 6, Miss Regina Dow, all the way from the M-Town, Candace, we're working on, Tasha Baker, fellowship alumni. We got Miss Kimberly White. Like, thank you guys for joining in, because this is the real conversation. And then Melvin says the system is in place for us to still fail. And I'll read it again. The system is still in place for us to fail, but that's why we fight. And so Melvin says this statement, and then Miss Regina Dow says, what is Propel's plan to help children read?
We organize
Mhm.
and we develop parents into powerful parent leaders to ignite a movement that demands equitable education, policies, and practices in Nashville publication and Regina Dow. That is what we're going to do.
Mhm.
We are going to demand that educators are taught how to teach children how to read before they exit colleges and universities.
Mhm.
We're going to make sure that quality instructional practices are put in place so that every student, no matter what zip code, no matter their color, no matter their disability, are taught how to read because they have the right to read. They deserve to read, and being able to read is just like having oxygen.
Mhm.
And we're going to hold people accountable, and we're going to make sure that our children do not have bias based on their race. We want to be able to demand that the system be able to tell the difference between a struggling reader, which is somebody who is not taught, versus somebody who is struggling or not taught how to read.
Mhm.
That's what we're going to do. And I hope that answers your question.
Mhm. Yeah. And Torvis, I know you had a few technical difficulties. Anything you want to add on that one?
What I was, can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear
Yes.
me? Okay. So what I was gonna say to that, this stuff is hitting us right in the
Torvis, I
face.
think you're having
So
some
you was talking
technical
about a few minutes
difficulties, so you
ago.
might have to mute. We're getting a lot of feedback. I'm sorry.
Okay. What she was talking about a few minutes ago, I was thinking about this recently in my hometown. Uh, man. Okay. I don't know
And
what's
Torvis,
going on with the internet.
feedback. Like, let's see. Okay.
Okay. Well, in my hometown, we had two young kids got killed Thursday or Friday. So, and these are kids that was athletes, kids that be in college somewhere, should be playing. You know, some of the kids that was involved in it are still in school, athletes, but they're not on the football field. Why? Because they don't have the grades. They get kicked off. So now they get kicked out to the streets. And that's the telltale effect of not being able to read and write and things like that. Because these are the kids that go to school, like some y'all always say, they go to school, they want anybody to know they can't read and write. So they get in trouble. They're the class clowns. And then the system criminalizes them. And okay, you are out of school. You kick you out of school. So now they pushing them to the streets. And that goes back in the effect of like 37208. You know, you see a lot of kids get incarcerated in the prison system. So they go from the schoolyard to the prison yard based on bad decisions of not being able to read and write. Like we always say, if our kids don't have choices, they dying. Our kids are dying daily from this thing with the schools and not being able to read and write.
Yeah, and I can agree. I think one of the parents is asking why is map testing so important? And shout out to Ms. Brown, cohort 2, one of our long riders from even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, now still riding high. Why is map testing so important? And I got a little bit that I wanted to show. But Sonia, talk a little bit about what Jordan Sprayberry talked about, and then I'm just going to show you just some of the presentation that the board is doing around map testing.
So, Sierra, the reason why map testing is important, it's a test that's given by like it's a national type of test. It allows you to see the areas of struggle compared to children who are on the same grade level as your child, nationally as well as in their school and compared to the district. It is used in schools to see where the struggles are, but also to implement interventions. And what should happen is those interventions will have like goals. So let's just say if the child is not scoring well in literacy or reading, then there should be an intervention put into place, whether they go to a different tier level of instruction, meaning that they get a more robust or rigorous approach to helping them to make progress in whatever area, whether it's mathematics, or if it is reading, and they get those interventions. But what should happen is there's something called RTI, and it's a record of the response to those interventions, meaning there shouldn't be a child who struggles and continues to struggle. By law, response to interventions should be recorded. A lot of your Title I money that comes from the federal government and state government is tied into RTI. And so a lot of schools use this information to determine how many teachers they need to help support the community of students that they are servicing. And so what we're seeing too, and what we're identifying is that if your child goes to a school that's ranked in the bottom 5% of the state, a Amqui, a Belshire, a Haynes, a Jerry Baxter, a Maplewood, a Weiss Creek, those schools, and everybody is performing low, somebody, anybody gets to decide whether your child gets the additional assistance. Now, I don't know how they hand picking. I don't know if they drawing straws. I don't know if they basing it off their behavior. I don't know what they're doing. But can you imagine a whole school performing low and somebody only picking a few people out of the bunch to help? That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So we leaving children. You know, this country goes to war, and you always hear, we don't leave nobody in the battlefield. Even if you get shot in your head, your head blowed off, you will not be left in another country. But if you go to school and you don't know how to read, baby, they'll leave your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't read.
Yeah. And this is a good conversation. And also just to talk about the money, because I think a lot of times we don't discuss the amount of money that flows through our system. And when you got MNPS, you know, just this year alone, before we got the ESSER, the Corona funds of 26 million and 110, our budget was already a little bit over 924 million. That's just not for the next 5 years. That's 924 million each year just for Nashville. And so if you look at other cities across the country, if our budget is 924, what do you think Los Angeles is? What do you think New York is? What do you think Florida and Texas? And so we got to also realize that we hold people accountable because there are funds, there are money that are coming into the system. And why get the money if our kids are year after year doing so bad? And I know Ms. Saul talked about the teacher, parent, and student partnership.
I want to know that, all the money that they have, you say you got the 924 million budget. They got 61 million earlier for computers. They got 100 million they put over for the literacy, attention to read. They got 123 million. That's a whole lot of money, and it's money you can't even imagine. But then also listen to what Sonya just said. What they said the other day was the fact that you have to pick and choose what kids you help, which we already know that whenever we get a chance to be pick and choose or lottery, we don't win that at all. So with the money that you have, why come you don't have more teachers or more support staff to be able to help these struggling schools? You can't take a whole school that's failing and not have something to help these kids. And you have the money to do that. You have substitute teachers out here. You have other people that's qualified to help with these struggling schools. And don't say you don't have the money. Don't pick and choose to get RTI. You need to find a way to make sure all the kids get some type of intervention because the money is there.
Miss Miller's making some great points. First of all, it does take teacher, parent, student relationship. Every teacher should be getting on board with what we're saying, and we're not finding that. I'm just gonna be real. Because when we go fight, we ain't fighting against teachers. We actually fighting. We fighting for the students, but we fighting in the best interest of teachers also. Mm-hmm. Number two, you're right. Parents need to know what MAP is. And so on Monday night, we did a whole orientation on MAP assessment, something that we don't even see the district doing. And we will continue to do that. So thank you. But we did do that. It is recorded. And so you guys can go back and watch it. We do have the slides available for those who would like to see those slides. And we are available for questions. The other point that Ms. Miller made, go back, John, to Ms. Miller's last comment. She's making some very good comments here. RTI looks too different in every school. You are darn right. I attended a meeting, an IEP meeting yesterday, and I hate to take up time, but I think this is very relevant to what's going on. John, if you don't mind, Torb, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Yesterday for an IEP. I attended an S-team meeting a few weeks ago with Torvis's family, who's on here now and can vouch for this. In Torvis's school, we found out that they weren't even collecting RTI. Okay? It is the law that RTI, it is the thing that the law says, the state of Tennessee law says has to happen for every child. And so, parents, heads up. If your child is not doing good on an assessment, if they're not doing it well in school, and they classify that as like being in the 25 percentile and lower, or the 10, they say 10th percentile, but I'm telling parents, if your child in 20, 30, and 40 percentile, you need to be raising hell. Don't wait until they get there. But what is happening is, if your child is struggling and the school does not say, okay, Michael is struggling, let's put in some interventions. Let's monitor those to see if our interventions are working for him, and let's regroup if they're not. If they don't document that, and let's say little Michael may need some additional help with an IEP, meaning he may have a disability classified by the federal government, doesn't mean he's not smart. Doesn't mean something's wrong with him. I always compare it to my glasses. I am visually impaired. My glasses, my prescription on my glasses, which is strong, helps me to reach my greatest potential with my vision. Okay? Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me, because I can see just as good as anybody else when I got the right prescription. I can do surgery. I don't be, my kids call it Ben Carson's. I can be a Ben Carson if I want to, do some little neurosurgery. If I want to, if I got the right prescription. If that's not tracked, and you go to the school and say, I would like my child to have a diagnostic screener to test them for a disability, and they have not done that, first of all, they've broken the law. Second of all, they got 60 days to give you the run around. And that's 60 days that your child has lost time. 60 days that they get farther. 60 days is a lifetime, and the life of a person that can't read or struggling to read. So if you go to the school and say, I think my child has a disability, I want them tested, and they tell you, okay, well, we got to start collecting RTI. It's time, you need to call me. Because first of all, everybody knew your child was struggling in the first place. They should have been doing it. But I want to say that I attended an IEP meeting at Haynes yesterday. I was quite impressed. It was the best IEP meeting that I've seen in a while. Shout out to those 8th grade teachers at Haynes Middle School. Now, they didn't do everything right, but I'm going to tell you what I saw, because I called out stuff when I see it doing well. That English teacher, Mr. Menon, I think is his name. I like him. He is approaching literacy the way that he's supposed to approach it. He is somebody that I think is in the system. He has to protect the system, but also that he knows that what we're doing is not working. And I wanted to say this, teachers who are listening, I know you won't hear, we need you to fight with us, because I know you feel that you'll be retaliated with, but we all got to break these system strongholds down. If you're a Black teacher in this system and you know we ain't teaching children how to read, shame on your ass. Shame on you. But this teacher was really trying to work with this student. Now, they didn't have nothing written down in the IEP, so I got on them. They didn't have the interventions recorded on there. So I'm like, you saying you're doing all this great work, but you're not even getting credit for it. Get credit for your work. Give that child what they need so she can feel like she's successful too, because you was doing some good things, but you ain't wrote nothing. You ain't wrote no vision down. Write the vision. Write the vision. So I'm sorry, John, but I had to say that.
And even we was talking about that yesterday. Even when you're on these meetings, and I know, Son, you got something to say about this. I had helped a pro parent with a meeting, and the teachers was on there talking before. They knew I was on there. They was on there talking before, trying to get this story straight on what to say about this child. Then they realized I was on there, and they cut it off. When they came back home, I never saw their face. They changed some of the names on there, put their maiden names on there. Never saw the face. And the principal the whole time in the meeting was like this. He never did look at the screen or anything. At least look me in the eye and tell me what you're gonna do for my child. Don't be paying attention, looking around or whatever, because you're not paying attention to my child. That's the problem now. You haven't paid attention to the kids and what's going on with these kids. At least be a man, look me in my eye and tell me something.
Come on, Torvis.
Yep.
I love it. You know what? Shout out to Torvis and John, because Black men don't get a lot of credit for leading, and you guys are leaders. You're my inspiration, and we need more men like you guys. And I know that we have them. So I'm gonna speak it into the air that you guys will lead more Black men into being leaders and fighting for education equities for these children. So shout out to you guys for the hard work that you're doing, and thank you.
Teamwork, man. So it again, and I don't want to spend a lot of this time, but I think it drove social media crazy Sunday morning. Talk about the mayhem, and Torres, I know you just talked, but I want you to start off kind of what you were reading across your screen and kind of what was going on with the mayhem on Sunday morning.
Which mayhem you talking about?
I think it was some teachers, it was a school board member, there was some words exchanged.
Oh, that mayhem. Yeah, this mayhem. It's you got parents are really responding to things that's going on. They're sending letters to different people. And then you have some people just get on there saying different things. And I really don't understand a lot of, it's not really understanding of what they're really asking for, we got, okay, get the kids back in school. We know we all want the kids back in school, but is it safe? There's other measures and measures to that. So they were going back and forth on Facebook, and the words were said that the lady told the teachers to quit their day job. They didn't want to go back to school. They didn't want to teach, which is really a low blow. They do want to teach, and they are teaching at home, but tell them to quit their day job because they don't want to teach. We need more teachers. So it's really getting ugly out here for the words going back and forth, and on the social media and the platforms, and we just staying clear of it. We're gonna stay our message, stay on course with our message, and stay on what we're doing, because all this stuff is here a smoke screen, and I don't have time to deal with all that. We are demanding quality education, equal education for our kids. We're gonna do it every day. It's like this thing we have coming on Friday. We're gonna go nationwide. We're gonna talk about the same thing we're doing every day. What are we doing to help the kids? What have we done to help the kids? Now is what we're doing now. We got to do something, and we need more parents to do it. So stay away from all the mess and stay focused on what's going on. We always get sidetracked on something else. Stay focused on what's going on. Our kids can't read. That's the focus right now. They have money. They don't have interventions. They don't have RTIs. They don't have Q files. So we got to stay focused on what we're doing.
Well said.
Amen. And I'll add a little bit to that. And I agree with you, Charles. Like, although I admit it was challenging to look at, at sometimes with some of the responses, it was funny. But at the end of the day, going into Monday morning, I put that on the back burner. And because I'm gonna tell you why, and it's what we're talking about now. The more we were talking about that, the more we were forgetting that we need individualized learning plans. The more we were talking about that, we didn't realize that our kids still can't read. And I think what you were saying, like, we got to be committed to helping our kids and making sure like we recover from this learning loss. I took a trip to Mount Carmel, and those kids were getting the support. They were on course, but we just talked about like the struggles they were already walking into outside of even this academic year, the struggles they had academically from years beyond. We're talking to some parents today at Boys and Girls Club Andrew Jackson. And these are the conversations. Like, we got to keep working with parents, supporting parents, educating parents. And as Sonia said, like bridging that relationship. Because right now, I see Nikisha on here, cohort. I think this Nikisha saw members cohort 6 or cohort 5. But it's like, it's been Bloods versus the Crips with this parents versus teachers. And it's noise, and it gets us away from the real thing of like really helping our kids academically. I can think about all the teachers that I had from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And most teachers had my best interest. It was always some who I still don't like to this day. But the majority, 90% of my teachers, like, they had my best interest. And that's the relationship we got to get back. But we got to communicate, and we got to partner, and we got to work together.
I'm going to say this, and I mean what I say. And I'm not going to take back what I'm saying right now. The adults are fighting, and our kids can't read. So to the federal government, to the state government, to the local government, to all school and education leadership on all those levels, do right by our children, or you'll be put under a citizen's arrest. So read my lips. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you do or say will be held against you in a court of law. And I mean that. Parents not going for it anymore. You will be held accountable. No, I'm not going to put my hands on you, because I'm not going to get my hands dirty. I don't fight with my fist, but I will fight with my mouth and every piece of breath in me. And I'm not coming by myself. So keep messing with our children. If you think you're going to keep messing with our children, you got us wrong. You will teach our children how to read. In the mighty power name of Jesus, first of all, you will do right by our children. There is a new sheriff in town, and that is parents. And so if you're not going to do right by children, you've been read your Miranda rights, and you're going to be under citizen's arrest by parents and those who join forces with us, who are igniting the movement to demand equitable education policies and practices in public education in Nashville and across this country, in Memphis, Atlanta, San Antonio, in St. Louis, in Oakland. And we're igniting the movement locally and across our states and across this country. So either get on board or get your Miranda rights.
And let me read some of these comments. Tasha Baker alone. At this point, something has to be figured out. The virtual learning is not helping so many kids, and 2 of my children are in that number. Having any resources become available for one-on-one help. Sonia, we can talk about that, but I'm gonna come back to that one. Nikisha Saul Miller says reading is fundamental, but math is too. Basic skills are lacking as a whole. Mr. Turnley says he loves listening to us all speak. I love hearing these parent responses. Miss Brown, who is our resident expert, is agreeing with Nikisha. And then Miss Brewington says some schools know you're low income. They make you fight for everything. They don't realize I've made some great connections with folks who can help me help my son. Network and get to know and counsel your people in areas. They are a wealth of info. And so, yeah, we can also talk. So we talk about racism always, and that's always been forefront, but we don't talk about classism. We don't talk about colorism. It's so much to go on. And when you think about these schools, some people look you up and down and they judge you really quickly. That's where the phrase came from, don't judge a book by its cover. Because one of the richest men used to walk around in overalls in an old truck that was Sam Walton. Funny story, then I'm gonna pass it back to you. Steve Jobs, who of course created the iPhone, created Apple, was a billionaire 10 times over, was adopted. He was so content to find out his birth parents. He tracked his father down, who owned a coffee shop. This guy went into that coffee shop for years, was one of the best customers, was bragged on by the man, but Steve Jobs never told him that he was his son because he has so much resentment. And so it's a lot of judging going on, and we know it's judging going on in our schools.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the picking and choosing who's gonna get RTI. You know, I just some trust that you're gonna pick the right people. You know, you shouldn't have to pick.
Torvis, adjust your sound.
Go by now.
It comes across good on my side, Tanya.
Okay, maybe it's mine. Let me cut my sound off.
Okay. Yeah. They it's just like if you're giving them to pick and choose who's gonna fail. We already get picked and choose over, and that's just giving them more of a racism approach to who they pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we was growing up, we was poor. We weren't dirt poor, but you was poor. Your parents didn't let you know that you didn't have anything because they made sure you had everything that you needed with everybody else, had. They weren't keeping up with the Joneses. It was like these schools go to low income schools. These kids should know they're in low income school. They should know that they don't have the money or the funds. It can't just pinpoint, here you go. You got this. They got air conditioning, we need air conditioning. They get pencils, we need pencils. It might be different as far as the teacher wise, but you shouldn't be pinpointed that this is a low income school and be broadcast as low income school. It's like when we was busing kids back and forth, and it's like you're gonna send you to another school, and here come the bus, here come the dumb kids. That's giving people a reason to label them.
Let me jump.
You should make sure that you do.
Because this is interesting. So I'm looking at the comments, and a lot of parents are saying they were judged, right? And I see some heavy hitters, like I see Kanisha, I see Angela Williams. Like these are some strong. In Candace, Lord have mercy, I don't know why they judged her. She coming with a vengeance. But this is not so. Okay, it's parents and it's teachers, right? But who's in the middle of parents and teachers? Who are the gatekeepers in the school? That's what. Who are the gatekeepers? When you first walk into the building, what's the first gatekeeper you run into?
Wait a minute, I gotta do this. Who the hell left
the gate open? Hey, when you said that, when I was coming up in school, I couldn't say SH words. I couldn't say it. And my mom like, well, they did some things with me, and it's gonna make sure that I learned it. I wasn't treated different by that. But I say shit in a minute now. I can say SH words all the time now. So
you have phonemic awareness and phonics. Yep. So you're able to decode.
Right. They threw me to the side, but now my mama worked on it every day. And it's one of them things like the muscle memory. You got to work on this stuff. You just can't just throw it to the side and, it's going to work itself out. They failed it in the first grade, second grade. We're going to measure them in the third grade. How you going to go to school, start out 2 years behind? Then you get in 12th grade, second grade reading level. So 12 years of school, you only went up 2 or 3 grade levels. No, man, you can't do that.
I think that one of the things, I'm looking at Candace, and she said that she was shamed. Mission accomplished. That is what the system is set up to do, is to shame you and to say what you're not doing. And that's why we're fighting. The young lady asked, and I can't remember names. I'm sorry. You can go back to the comment about what is Propel doing. That's why we are fighting for teachers to be taught how to teach reading. Ask any teacher anyone and I can say this boldly. You know how you can say stuff and you know the answer because you know. Ask any teacher the name of the course that they took to teach children how to read. And if they tell you the name of the course, come cut my right arm off with no painkiller and no anesthetic, because it's no such course. And so even now it's moving through the legislation, through law at the Tennessee state level. And one of the things that Torvis talked about, we'll be doing a national platform on Friday. One of the things that we're fighting for is for that to happen for every teacher. It's like saying, I want to be a surgeon, I have passion to do surgery, but then you don't show me how to use a scalpel. or a cauterizer, and I don't know anatomy, so I'm gonna go in here, and you know what? I'm gonna make this shit up as it go because I think that's the liver over here on this side. But that's not having bad intentions either, right? Because you're trying to save people. But if you're not equipped, then how do you do the best job that you need to do? So that's why we're fighting the way that we're fighting and demanding that these things happen. Because what happens is then teachers get in front of a parent and say, your child is not reading. They're on the 10th. Their math score shows that they're on the 10% grade level. And so what I want you to do is read to them 30 minutes a day. Then when the child does not improve, they ain't reading to them. Did you read to them, Miss Johnson? Yes, I did. No, you can't be reading to them because see, I read to my child. I read to my child. I taught my child how to read. Let's talk about that. The brain is not set up to learn how to read for only 5% of the population has the ability to just learn how to read. That means 95% of people don't. They have some type of something that they need because the brain is not set up to read. 99% of human beings can be taught how to read. I don't care about your learning disability. Don't talk to me about no kid with no learning disability. I will chop you down because you're not going to dummy them down. That does not mean that they're dumb because they have a disability. 99% of all human beings can be taught how to read. 1% of the human population has a disability that's so severe that their brain has so much damage that they can't learn how to read.
I'm gonna tell you one song that just popped in my head, and I saw Kimberly as we talked about like who stands before, because you hear teachers who really want to be involved. We got teachers on here, we got parents on here, but one thing that we forgot about is the administration. And a song that popped in my head. Some of you guys may remember this. It might date you, but they used to say cash money is the army, but yet a navy. And when we think about Propel is, hey, like we coming. And when I look at everybody on here, like again, I'm just going through the comments. I see Nikisha, I see Jarvis, I see Angela, I see Candace, I see Victoria, I see Kanisha, like I see Miss Regina stepping back in. I see Miss Brown, who is behind the scenes knocking it down. Like this is the only way we're going to get a chance to figure it out because we're having real conversations. And it's never been a red carpet. It's never been a red carpet for parents to come into the school, but there's always been good relationships with teachers and students and parents and students. And now we got to find a way to bridge this relationship to get our kids back on course because it's just not happening now.
And you know, I think about like when you talk about Denise, I call it Denise. She calls herself Tessa Brown, who is very dear to my heart because I know the work that she does. It makes me angry when I think about my friends that are great educators who have been given a Pinto or who've been given a box cart, like made out of a box to educate children and teach children how to read and to make a miracle out of something that somebody did not give them that they deserve. Like, can you imagine giving Denise a Maserati in reading? Giving her the courses and the resources to continue to be innovative and to change the trajectory in the lives that because she's an excellent, like she's given a Pinto to help children in special education, right? And the work that she does is powerful. Imagine giving her a Maserati or a Rolls Royce. She will change communities of children. And so, Denise, I'm fighting for you too. I'm fighting for all of these. Nikki, look at Nikki Boylan Hendricks, the Ashley Rosses, the Mr. Minham that was in Haynes yesterday, whom I got to get in touch with him because that brother right there. The teachers that reach out to me in email because they've watched what the words say, and they've said, "My God, Sonia," or they've called me in tears and say, "My God, we don't know how to teach children how to read." These are teachers, educators in Nashville public education and across this country who call me so brokenhearted because they realized that they sent children out in this world unprepared, and it wasn't on purpose. That's why I said people don't wake up in the morning and say, "I'm just going to fail children." But they realize and they know, and I admire the fact that they can admit and say, "We ain't doing this right." One of them teachers I talked to yesterday said, he said, "We are not teaching children how to read in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, and they get to me in middle school, and I've got to teach them how to decode." Those are the teachers we want to ignite the movement with, because we can change it together, but we can't fight against teachers for the wrong thing. No, we need to fight for great educators also. So I'm done with that, but that needed to be said, man. We got some great educators, and I'm just, crazy. Sarah Carpenter says, "I'm just crazy enough to believe that Dr. Battle will get this right."
Hey, John, let me give people a visual aid right quick. I deal with sports. That's my thing. So just imagine the Titan Stadium hosts 69,143 people.
How many?
69,143 people getting the Titan Stadium. Okay, we have 86,000 kids, so we got 15,000 outside waiting to get in. Wow. If 8,000 of those people in those stands go outside with the other 15, that's the percentage of the kids that's on grade level. Just reading, 23%. So you got 61,000 kids in Titan Stadium that's not on grade level, can't read and write. That's a visual aid. It's a lot of kids that's out here just struggling.
I think as the weeks to come, we're going to talk about what does it mean to know how to read. I had to talk to a parent this week, and I talk to parents all the time to help them to realize that their child really can't read. And I do it all the time. They're like, they can read, but they're not reading on grade level. They can't read. I am a struggling reader, and I'm not ashamed to say it has nothing to do with my IQ. Remember, Trevecca Nazarene University, 4.0 I had before I got in this work and had to cancel my classes. 4.0. There is a teacher, and I'll talk about him in the next few weeks, who went through elementary, middle school, high school, a college and university, and taught students and could not read. Maybe I need to get him on the show. He's a national voice for illiteracy. Could not read. What does it mean to know how to read? Because parents don't know. I didn't know until I got into this work. So you think your child, a grade, an A on their report card don't mean your child can read, baby. What does it mean to know how to read, and what do we do about it?
Yeah. And man, we are over time this week. This has been for me a very motivating conversation. Really, the topic, but also the response from just this group. The call to action, guys. We got to take it from our talk show to the streets. Like, we got to take it from online thugging to direct in front of the people who make these policies and these laws to help our children out. I don't think Nashville could handle all of you guys speaking at once on things that you know and feel strongly and have experience about. That's why movements pass away, because you only have one or two leaders. And so the objective always is to take out one or two leaders. You can humiliate them, you can, discredit them. But when you got Nikisha Saul Miller, when you got Regina Dow coming from Memphis, when you got Jarvis Turnley coming from Robinson County, you got Kimberly White here in Nashville, Kanisha Burke, Candace Brewington, you got Tisa Brown, even Felicia recommending us people. I don't know you, Felicia, but we need to get to know you. That is how we're going to change, because everybody on here is strong individually. That's why you can speak up, because you ain't afraid of nobody. And you done dealt with some people who have doubted you, and you have overcome that. But it's not until we become the Power Rangers. You know, somebody got to be the red one, somebody got to be the White Ranger, Green Ranger, yellow, pink, such and such, so we can come together. The system is just too big for Nikisha to do it on her own, for Sonya to do it, for me to do it on my own. We got to come together. And so I want to say, Sonya, the next time, like, we have some real actions that we can see if people want to get involved in, that we can all agree will help us move this conversation forward.
Yeah. And so, you know, I want to end this by saying, you know, some of the action that we're taking is for our children who have struggled in the virtual setting as well as the in-person setting. This is not about virtual or in-person. This is about children struggling. You know, we are working with a partner, Corey, who is doing a program here in Nashville. And we are taking 10 kids from our most struggling community. And we are putting together a program so that we can help children. Candace, I'm going to give you a call because I think this to benefit you. And what's my girl name? John. Y'all know I'm terrible with names. She was in here. Go through the comments again real quick, John. Just keep flashing through them and I'll pick up on her name.
Okay.
Reach out to you guys and see if you're interested in your children getting in there and getting some additional help. Another thing that we are doing, Tasha, that's it, Tasha. I'm gonna reach out to you, Tasha Baker, with the two last names. She know I get her mixed up because she got two last names. She be telling me. But we're doing some things. We're gonna do a lot surrounding, you know, what these assessments mean. As you guys know, we have been igniting the movement around personalized learning or individualized learning, as we've been calling it. And so the system, the district, Dr. Battle, has listened to parents, and she is going to implement the personalized learning along with a dashboard that will tell you about your child's math assessments and all of their, I like to call them all of their data surrounding their attendance and all of those things that are important and related to giving a kind of overview of what's going on with your child. And so shout out to Dr. Battle and the district for doing that. And so we are going to be educating parents even more around math assessments. What does it mean? What questions you need to ask, but also around literacy. What does it mean to know how to read and what we're fighting for? And we want to listen to parents to see what they care about in these areas and build a campaign around it, just like we did with the individualized learning and the personalized learning. And so we want to work with the district. It's going to take parents. It's going to take partnership. It's going to take, you know, all of us working together to make sure that we get this right. We're running out of time. We're losing children day by day. We've lost too many. And so please go to our website, NashvillePropel.org. If you are listening under the sound of my voice and you want to join the movement and you want to make sure that we have your contact information so that we can set up some appointments with you. If you know parents that need us, have them to submit an inquiry or you in that form, if you want to drop a parent's name in that form or in the comments, or if you want to inbox us. My number is 615-509-1916 if you want to reach out to me personally. I work for parents. John works for parents. Torres our team works for parents. This is parent-led, parent-organized. And so we want to give you all of the attention that you need. So it's important because we work for you. We get up in the morning, we work for you. So make sure that you're contacting us And make sure you're joining us each Wednesday at 11 o'clock. If you want to be on this show with us, a lot of you guys have been hanging tight in the comments, but I would love for you to be on here with us and dialoguing with us. So let us know that. John, you got anything else?
That's it. We just it's time to go for action. Like I'm just so.
This Friday, the panel. We will be talking. I'm sorry. We will be talking about literacy. And John, can you drop that link for registration? We are partnering with an organization called School Kit. They are a for-profit organizations that help school districts they work with like educators to help them to understand like literacy right now is a big focus for them. I will be the keynote speaker at 9:30. There are 300 plus guests in this audience. And shout out to Torvis and John, and then Dr. Susan Smart, who will be joining me on that panel to talk about literacy. So that is huge to be on a national stage. Nashville Propel is doing a lot of work locally, state, and national. It takes the national, state, and local work. We have an obligation to build the movement here in Nashville, to win education issued policies, to build this movement with parents, but also we need to make sure that this is happening all over the country. And that is important to us with our work that we do with the Powerful Parent Movement, with Sarah Carpenter in Memphis, with Kim Dukes in Atlanta, with my girl Crystal Barnett in St. Louis, and Joe and Maribel in San Antonio, and Keisha and the whole crew out there in Oakland, because we need to get some, as far as literacy goes, we've got to have some national momentum also. Everybody's got to get it and understand, because then you're going to have teachers and superintendents and kids moving from state to state getting the same thing. So that doesn't make sense, right? We can't be a Band-Aid problem. We've got to make this a national standard, because our children need to live and go anywhere that they want to be, and live and go anywhere they want to go, and live out their dreams wherever they are. So that's why that's important. It will not, I don't, yeah. So Tessa, it will be recorded. Send me a text and I'll make sure I reach out to School Kid, and I'll get that link for you, girl. But it is I'll be the keynote speaker. There will be elected officials. There will be school superintendents, directors of schools. There will be people from state legislation. There will be teachers, educators, parents, you name it, will be attending this event. And I have the honor from God, is what I'm saying, to be able to speak on behalf of you, Nashville parents. They want to know what we're doing here in Nashville. And that's something to speak about and to applaud the parents of Nashville about. So thank you for allowing me to be a mouthpiece, and pray for me that what I say touches and it pierces the heart and the mind. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but this is hard because I feel like I can't let anybody down. And so I need your prayers, that the words that come out of my mouth are not mine, but they are ordered by God to help the fight for our children to read. So I'm sorry, I'm just emotional this week. It's heavy, it's hard. This is hard work and hard work. And I have cried more over the last 2 years than I ever have in my life. And I'm straight gangster. But when I think about people not even having a chance, it just burdens me. So I'm sorry, y'all. I just want people to have what they need and they deserve. And we got the right to read if we don't have nothing else. So it's just like breathing. I'm sorry. other people don't feel like this. I don't know what's wrong with them. I'm done, John.